He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Well, on the show today, Nigeria and Libya are at loggerheads. The two governments have now entered the fray after a flight carrying the Nigeria football team was diverted. They were then left stranded for hours before a key AFCON qualifying game. What's the story behind this feud? Is it misfortune or a more sinister act at play? Indian cricketer Virat Kohli has found his biggest supporter in the dressing room. This as he gears up for the series against New Zealand. It has been a while since Kohli struck those big hundreds in tests. I take you through the blossoming relationship in that Indian dressing room and the latest controversy to hit the world of chess. Grandmaster Shevchenko has been caught cheating after he kept making multiple trips to the toilet during a game. But we look at Spanish authorities failing to organize a smooth tournament minus mishaps all over again. But first, a look at the headlines. Starting with cricket, Pakistan end day one of the second test on a high after a rocky start against England. After being down 19 for 2 in 10 overs, Kamran Ghulam and Saeem Ayub steadied the Pakistani innings. Ghulam's 118 helped Pakistan to a solid 259 for 5 at the end of play. Over in the Women's T20 World Cup, India have been knocked out of the tournament. Their result hinged on the outcome of the Pakistan-New Zealand match. New Zealand secured an undisputed win over Pakistan and beat them by 54 runs, crushing both India and Pakistan's hopes of a semi-final spot. This is the first time since 2016 that India has been knocked out in the group stages. Bangladesh has removed head coach Chandika Hathurusingha from his position over disciplinary grounds. Hathurusingha has been accused of slapping a player in the dressing room. Former West Indies cricketer Phil Simmons will take over as the interim coach until the 2025 Champions Trophy. Over in football, five-time winners Cameroon have qualified for the next year's AFCON finals. This after they registered a 1-0 victory over Kenya. Along with Cameroon, Algeria and Burkina Faso too have secured places in the next edition of the tournament. Kylian Mbappe, the French footballer, is under investigation for rape allegations. Swedish media reported Mbappe to be a suspect following his visit to Stockholm. Mbappe strongly denies these accusations. He's called the reports fake news. The alleged incident has been reported by Swedish police, but no official charges have been filed yet. Africa football talent. Oodles of it and controversies, bucket loads of that. The quartet that has been going on strong for ages now. The abundance of flair African football is known to produce is directly proportional to the chaos it swims in. And the latest, of course, is the feud surrounding Libya and Nigeria in the ongoing AFCON qualifiers. AFCON, the African Cup of Nations tournament, is what we're referring to. Nigeria has boycotted the match against host Libya, which was scheduled to take place later tonight. Nigeria has accused Libya of manipulation, playing mind games and mistreatment. And now the matter has gone to such an extent that the Nigeria government, along with the Football Federation, has been involved. But before we get to that, let me put you up to speed with what's happened. The Nigerian football team traveled to Libya yesterday for their AFCON qualifier match in Benghazi. But instead of reaching Benghazi, their flight was diverted to a smaller airport in Baida. The distance between both these cities is around 150 miles, not too far away, yet the Nigerian football team was left stranded at the airport for more than 16 hours.
But really maltreated, and there was nobody from the area that came to receive us. Nobody. We were just left with the security. In fact, it was when I saw that the situation was unbearable, we made arrangement to hire our own vehicles. We hired our own vehicles. They did not allow us to go out and join our vehicles.
The reason why this matter is so serious is because unlike some of the other sport, This, like cricket, for example, footballers usually travel to the host destination just a day or two before these single fixtures. They don't get enough time to rest, so every minute counts. And every minute wasted at an airport, for example, is time robbed from their sleep, much needed rest, or practice. So clearly, the Nigerian football players were frustrated and, of course, exhausted. And now the Nigerian government has stepped in and is seeking answers from Libya.
There is no gainsaying the fact that we need to respect, our national teams. Our national teams carry, the national flag of our countries, our various countries. If you look at particularly the Nigerian national team, the crop of players that we have to go through, make a lot of sacrifices to represent our country and to play for it. So we must be interested in their circumstances and in their situation at every point in time.
The matter has escalated to the extent that Nigerian government has summoned Libya's ambassador to know exactly why the players were left stranded at the airport and for that long. And while the government is seeking answers, players have gone back to Nigeria, boycotting the match.
As the captain, together with the team, we have decided that we will not play this game. Our plane is being fueled and we should be leaving to Nigeria shortly.
Strong words there from the captain of Nigeria football team. So from the outside, this clearly is a case of mistreatment from Libya, but Libya continues to stand its ground, claiming that the delay was unintentional. While Libya states the decision to divert the flight was not intentional, what's more concerning, though, is the fact that Nigeria had to arrange for their own transportation to travel to Benghazi so that they could reach the city as soon as they could and make up for that lost time. But the Libyan airport authorities didn't allow them to walk out of the airport, which is what bothered Nigeria even more. And it's strange because politically there are no differences between these two nations, and in terms of football rivalry as well, there is a stark difference between the two sides. Nigeria has won the AFCON 3 times, and Libya's best finish came long back in 1982 when they reached the final. In terms of qualification, Nigeria have been regulars with 20 qualifications out of the 36 editions of the tournament. Libya, on the other hand, still challengers with qualifying only for 3 of those years. So clearly there is no semblance of a historic rivalry, anything intense between these two footballing nations. The reason behind this feud can be drawn from one prior instance, and that happened just last week. Libya travelled to Nigeria for an AFCON qualifier match. They lost that to the host side 1-0, but we aren't pointing to the result or the scoreline as what could have possibly angered the Libyan football team, but something that happened before the game. Libya football claims they were forced to make their own arrangements to travel to the host city. They travelled through dense forests, through the middle of a jungle to reach the venue eventually. It was quite the harrowing experience. So clearly, this could be a case of giving Nigeria a taste of their own medicine. However, unintentional is all we can surmise, and Nigeria aren't the first time offenders of such behaviour towards visiting teams, though. Earlier this year, South Africa's national football team was stranded in a Nigerian airport for over 18 hours. This during a World Cup qualifier against Nigeria. So clearly, it looks like Nigeria is getting back the kind of treatment that they themselves have been dishing out. But does this justify Libya's actions? Because the question here is involvement of 2 international sides playing for a spot in a prestigious tournament like the AFCON. It's understandable that Libya is frustrated after what they went through in Nigeria, but responding to that in this manner, satisfying maybe, but is that really the solution? Because now Nigeria is threatening to boycott the match, so what are the implications of this? The matter is now in the hands of African football's governing body, CAF. Do they blame Nigeria for boycotting the match, or do they explore the conspiracy angle? It's clearly a headache either ways that CAF would be least bothered with at this point, because they didn't take any action against Nigeria when either of those past instances happened with South Africa or Libya when they were stranded. Nigeria are placed top of the group standings currently and are comfortably poised to qualify for the finals. But it will be a big blow for Libya, who wanted to have a fighting chance to stay in the hunt for qualification. Had they managed to secure a point against Nigeria, the competition would have been alive. So what next, and what decision will be apt in order to resolve this growing conflict? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Virat Kohli waiting for a Virat knock in tests. Virat, of course, in the Hindi language, means massive, the kind of knock that he's been looking for in the longest format for a while now. The last big one came in a match last year against the mighty Aussies in the huge Ahmedabad stadium. But that was just one spike in an otherwise very quiet calendar years for Virat in the test format at least. If you strictly look at just the hundreds column, that is, Virat means hunger for runs. And with that not really coming about in truckloads, the questions have started pouring in. Where is Virat's mojo? The series that's starting tomorrow is an all-important one. India against New Zealand. It kicks off with the first test in Bengaluru. Up for grabs are crucial points in the race for the World Test Championship final. So this test is huge, and someone who faces a stern test within this matchup is Virat Kohli, for whom domination has always been essential. And one of the first things Gautam Gambhir, the new head coach of the Indian setup, had to talk about is Virat Kohli still hungry for runs?
My thoughts about Virat has always been very clear, that he is a world-class cricketer. He is as hungry as when he made his debut. We know that once he gets into that run scoring, how consistent can he be? So I'm sure he will be looking for these 3 test matches and the series in Australia.
Now, there are many things I love about that answer. The most obvious one first, it's the right answer. There's no way a coach is going to let his players down. Not that it hasn't happened in the past. And many would obviously think Gambhir, being frank and outspoken like he is, would take the bait, was sadly mistaken. The other thing, of course, is just what an exciting relationship this one is turning out to be. The one between Gautam Gambhir and Virat Kohli. 2 very strong personalities in that Indian dressing room. Now, we've seen them be like that, sniping at each other, ready to get into a fist fight, waiting to pull each other apart, with no care in the world or concern to who's watching, to then polite smiles. That one, of course, the one that's coming up, was earlier the year when the rumour mills were rife with the possibility of Gambhir taking up the Indian job. So we felt all right, they are just doing these pleasantries, just laying the foundation for no bad blood, an olive branch. But it turned into something rather special as the days went on. This image, for instance, was taken during the test against Bangladesh, when the Bangladeshi pacer Hassan Mahmood had dismantled the top order. That's Virat, and looks like he's just got back scoring a ton. But no, it was not a good outing for him, and yet he's seen there having a laugh with none other than Gambhir. They were trolled for that, but I personally loved it. Nothing beats an environment where you can smile even after a bad day. And if someone can do that to you, then you've got, especially after you've had a terrible day, make sure you keep them around. But coming back to the new pair who's smothering us with all the newfound love and camaraderie, the picture that, of course, broke the internet was when India fought back to force a result and get that whitewash over Bangladesh. It was the one where Virat and Gambhir hugged each other, and what was a warm moment that got the internet crazy. This is what a positive dressing room looks like. So when everyone asked Gambhir about Virat Kohli, whether he was hungry for runs, whether he still had it in him, they didn't have to go too far. But observe the man at what is practically his home now. For close to 18 years, Bengaluru, it's probably more of a home now than Delhi ever would be. Virat took all his time knocking at the nets, even ran over to another empty net to occupy it before anyone else could, once he was asked to wrap up from his own. He took his time with all the youngsters who were queuing up to chat with him after the session, gave his undivided time and attention, almost took me back to the time he spends in Bengaluru during the Indian Premier League. It's almost second nature, and he probably feels it too. They say it's good to go back to a place that you call home to get inspired, to get back to regular programming, as they say, and maybe that's what Virat is hoping for, some good old home ground advantage in the actual sense. Spain and Sporting mishaps is a match made in heaven, or should I say hell. If it's not their players or fans indulging in racism, then it's a visiting athlete getting involved in a cheating scandal, rocking the sporting world and highlighting Spain's failure to organize a tournament without any controversy. A Romanian Grandmaster and world number 69 Kirill Shevchenko has been accused of cheating and as a result has also been expelled from the tournament. This occurred during the Spanish Team Championships tournament. So what really happened? The 22-year-old Grandmaster Shevchenko was playing a round 2 match against Spain's Francisco Vallejo. And during the match, the Romanian was seen taking a lot of breaks. Now that's a pretty common sight in chess. Players are sitting in a spot for far too long. So after each move, they tend to get up and walk around, shake their legs a bit, or take that time to think away from the board. But the number of times Shevchenko was making the trips created some suspicions because all of those trips were being made to the restroom. Vallejo complained that the Romanian was away from the board for far too long and too many times. The organizing committee then decided to investigate. So Shevchenko was asked about these trips, to which he responded that he was going to the toilet since he was not feeling all too well. It probably all adds up, maybe an upset tummy. But on digging deeper, authorities stumbled upon a grander plan. It was discovered that Shevchenko was only going to a specific cubicle in the restroom where a phone was hidden. Now, the Romanian could have said the phone didn't belong to him, but there was no escaping here. This is why there was a note attached along with the phone which said, "Don't touch. This telephone has been left here by the owner so it can be answered at night." And the organizers conducted a thorough investigation here. They tallied the writing and the ink used. Apparently, the Grandmaster himself had written that message, as his writing and the ink used on the note matched Shevchenko's score sheets. The con was too blatant not to get caught.
Things started to get strange at move 6. He played his move and left the playing hall for more than 10 minutes. And this was repeated many times in the next moves. I decided to go out to see where he was. And he was standing outside the toilet room. And when he saw me, he went back to the playing hall.
Basim Amin faced Shevchenko in the first round. That match ended in a draw. He caught Shevchenko taking his multiple mini toilet breaks. The Romanian has denied all charges against him, and FIDE's ethics committee is currently investigating the matter. Now, I see how this incident may seem a little funny. Admit it, you had a laugh or a smile at least when we spoke about how Shevchenko went about his business. But in all seriousness, it also highlights Spain's failure to avoid mishaps. A higher-ranked player like Shevchenko cheating during the tournament and not getting caught, and the organizers failing to stop or catch it beforehand, is only a reflection of a negligent management. If it wasn't for Basim Amin and Vallejo, the organizers wouldn't have even found the phone. Even if FIDE's ethics committee doesn't find conclusive evidence against Shevchenko, the fact remains that a phone was kept hidden in the toilet, the same cubicle that Shevchenko was repeatedly using. The evidence may be circumstantial, but it all ties up. And this is no school chess event or a regional chess competition, but a FIDE-approved tournament that needs to be conducted a certain way. It's not the first time Spain has failed to organize a seamless tournament or had something embarrassing occur. Last year, Indian chess grandmasters were robbed of mobile phones, laptops, jackets and money while playing in the Sunway Sidguest chess tournament. Not just that, the burglars even took away the passports of international master Dushyant Sharma. It hampered the player's chances to attend other tournaments which he was set to compete in Europe, because without a passport or a visa, he couldn't travel anywhere else. Spain is steeped in controversies surrounding football too, the most popular sport in the country. The country couldn't stop their fans, and still trying to, from racially abusing players like star player Vinicius Jr. In La Liga, fans have been accused of being violent against opposition players and fans. Clearly, even La Liga is lacking proper security measures. And moving past football, in 2019, Spanish police detained a gang that allegedly fixed professional tennis competitions. The team was accused of fixing matches along with Spanish tennis players. Following the investigation, about 6 players were banned. Unfortunate occurrences in a country that has produced legends like Rafael Nadal, Andre Iniesta, to name a few. It seems like the greatness sits in the middle of a system that is constantly in bed with the troublemakers. It's like a tug of war between sporting excellence and a sporting system that is teeming with mismanagement, wrongdoing, and a problematic sporting culture. Time for last serve. Cristiano Ronaldo has launched his watch collection. Something new always popping up when CR7 is involved. The Portuguese unveiled 2 models, Flight of CR7 and the Heart of CR7. 2 exclusive watches have Ronaldo's image and signatures. Take a look. Looks quite snazzy there on his wrist. But that wraps it up here on First Sports. Thanks for joining in. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.